Seconds remaining.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a joinDOTA League presentation of Radical Online Extremists versus Next.kz. This is going to be a two-game series between these two teams in the European division of this event. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Dota Talk TV 2 or in-game at Dota TV. I myself am Blazecasting Talk, and I am very happy to be able to cast this game for you guys. Feel super privileged to pick up a game with these two amazing teams, and it looks to be a really great series. So, full disclosure, I haven't cast either of these teams recently. RoX.KIS I haven't cast in about a month, and Next.kz about twice that amount of time. So, maybe some shifts there as far as strategies. Of course, 6.8 has come out very recently still, and teams are still adjusting to the meta, trying to figure out exactly what they want to do as far as their drafting and how they want to position themselves across the map. So, it should be a pretty interesting game. If there's any audio issues, by the way, let me know in the stream chat. I'll try to keep an eye on that, though it is a little more difficult to do when I'm solo casting here. Either way, yeah, we'll see a nice little draft progression and some very interesting strategies coming out of the mad genius drafter Goblak here, as well as right now it looks like Mantis is the captain for Next.kz. They've switched that up between him and Stallcat over the past year or so. I know I've cast them a few times, and they've done different drafting roles in the past, but as far as I understand it, despite the aliases, Next.kz is playing at full strength. None of these guys are stand-ins, so it should make to be a good game with some coordinated efforts at the very least. So, checking out the initial bans and picks, we do see for Phase 1 that the Nyx and Chen were the actual bans going into this, and in turn, Next bans out two heroes that are much more commonly banned out, the Pugna and the Bristleback. So, kind of interesting to see Nyx hit the field with such, I don't know, momentum that they really did not want to have to deal with it, but I can understand it's a pretty good counter to Bane and things like that. So anyways, they let the Invoker slip through. Whether that'll be an Exhort or a Wex-based Invoker, we'll have to see. But for now, RoX.KIS go for the lane-dominating combo of Bane and Mirana, Nightmare into Arrow, and next go for a little bit of just hardcore prominence. The Invoker in the right hands can do so much work globally for an Exhort Invoker or just in close quarters with the Wex, but Nature's Prophet is one of those threats where he can do so many different things. At level 3 you can expect maybe a gank turning a 3v3 into a 4v3. Throughout the game you're going to be seeing a lot of farming from him, picking up some great items very rapidly, and of course the Rat Dota, the split push, will ensue and have some high expectations for the space they can create with this Furion selection. Anyways, the second ban phase has already gone through, so looking at the Ancient Apparition and Venomancer bans, right now Goblak realizes that there isn't really that powerful support that can dish out a lot of damage in the hands of Next.kz. Now the Visage is still on the board if that's something that Mantis wants to draft, but the Venomancer and the Ancient Apparition, those powerful damage over time effects that could thwart the Templar Assassin's refraction, those two are taken off the board. So pretty cool decision making. In turn, looking at this mid matchup, it is going to be Invoker versus Templar Assassin, as the Night Stalker and Storm Spirit were both banned out. So obviously Mantis didn't feel comfortable with that mid matchup, but facing one that's still pretty well skewed in favor of RoX.KIS here. We do see Templar Assassin is going to come into play, and maybe with the Forge Spirit he can burn her refraction down a little bit, but if he's going for a Wex build, he's going to have a very hard time controlling the lane early. In turn, Goblak picks up one of his favorite heroes to select, and still one that's kind of fallen out of meta after his nerf in 6.79. Abaddon hits the field running, and he's going to be able to dish out a lot of damage, as well as make sure that they can survive through so many different things. Now, one thing to point out is the Cold Snap is not a dispellable debuff anymore. Quite a few patches ago that was changed. So really, the Aphotic Shield isn't going to take too much off. There's only mini stuns and familiar stuns right now, so honestly, I'm not too sure if the dispelling aspect of Aphotic Shield will be able to do much work, but that just leaves room for Abaddon to go for a Mistcoil prioritization build, and he'll be able to certainly show his presence on the lane. I'm curious if they're going to go for an aggressive tri-lane and go for a more greedy safe lane selection, or if they're just going to maybe farm the Mirana on the safe lane. We'll have to see.
10 seconds remaining.
For now, Next.kz have their 3 cores selected, and like I said, the Visage was still available, so that's what they're going to pick up, but they miss out on the Crystal Maiden and the other heroes that have been banned out. In fact, RoX.KIS has banned out all of these support heroes. Nyx, Chen, Ancient Apparition, Veno, and Crystal Maiden have all been taken off the board, and that really just thins the options of Next.kz, how they want to run it as supports go. I mean, they still have a few good alternatives, but not as strong as what we've seen in the past. Especially not against a Templar Assassin, who can just nullify so much damage from like a Shadow Shaman or a Lion just with her primary ability. Now, although the final ban from Next.kz was the Bat Rider, we actually see that RoX.KIS are opting for one of their kind of classic strategies, the Centaur War Runner in conjunction with the Abaddon. This gives you so much potential for burst magical damage, a diving to no end, and just insane amount of presence. The Centaur War Runner gets the Aphotic Shield, goes up to something and just double edges them. It pops the shield, it pops the double edge, and they just lose half their health initially. So you couple in some stuns on top of that, or just some really, really good damage output, or the Stomp, and you're going to be able to obliterate your opposition. At least that's the intention. We'll have to see how it plays out as we get into the game here. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. This is the joinDOTA League European Division between Next.kz and RoX.KIS, game number 1. So, starting things off with a bit of a formal introduction, looking over at Next.kz, the Kazakhstan boys. We do see Wadafaka is going to be running on the Invoker, being pooled Tangos, and starting off with the Null Talisman for last hitting potential there. It is going to be Mantis running on the Furion here. So, with the current position of these guys, I think that is going to be a solo safe lane Furion, though you can't really be sure. I think it is, though. So, yeah. Safe lane solo, Nature's Prophet, will be able to rotate to the top lane very actively and very early, but all eyes are going to be on that top lane, which includes Amazing on the Jakiro, starting off with some pretty standard support pickups, alongside Visage, who actually didn't pick up anything initially, just got the wards, placed them as quickly as possible, and he'll have his items coming up on the Courier very quickly. So he really wanted to get this ward in place right here before that was perceived to be the case. Beyond that, we do have Luna carrying up. This is Stallcat, although named Topor.DOTA for his alias here, so I might switch between the two, but either way, that's good old Stallcat. And an important thing to mention is that Next.kz, most of these guys have been playing together for like 2 years straight. Like, these guys are very committed to the same team, very coordinated, and very well practiced with one another, so we'll have to see if that experience makes any impact on this game here. Didn't really get a chance just yet to introduce RoX.KIS, so starting things off on the top lane, we are going to be seeing the farming Centaur War Runner. That is BZZ is Perfect, aka 633 on the Centaur War Runner, starting off with the Stout Shield and 1 Tango, supported by Bane, who's going to be played by Yol. This leaves Godblack to play his, I wouldn't say signature, but characteristic Abaddon selection, and he's going to be pretty active up there in the 3 versus 3. As far as the solo lanes go, this is going to be Solo, recently replacing Scandal in the solo mid-roll, and if there's anybody who can match Scandal's level of YOLO-ness, that is going to be Solo. Really just an aggressive player at heart, and I can't wait to see what he can do in this lane and across the map. Beyond that, we are going to be looking at the bottom lane. That is a matchup between Nature's Prophet. Oh, Nightmare will come out on top. They're going to start off the War Stomp, but it's going to be interrupted by a great Ice Path, but still a triple Stomp coming out. And they are going to be able to do a huge amount of damage to Luna. Going to dive with the Aphotic Shield? No. They will actually take a huge amount of damage, and the Centaur will go in retreat for now, but will they get the first blood? Amazing dropping low, but will salve in the tree line. It's going to be the Grave Chill to set up the first blood against Centaur. No! He's still down. The Nightmare comes out. They'll turn it around with a Stomp, and they should. No Ice Path! First blood goes out to Amazing. A great start for them, and now we do see Reeves trying to get away with that Grave Chill, kiting as best he can, but there is a huge shield coming from Godblack, and it will make it a 2 for 2. Very nice exchange via Godblack, but an awkward start with that Ice Pass, knocking down BZZ, so he doesn't get any of this experience and is now very well set in this level 1. A great hero denial as well. We do see the Visage and Jakiro were trying to bring down the Abaddon, but he denies himself with his Miscoil, and BZZ cleans it up for a 3 for 3, actually a 3 for 2 if you consider the suicide. Wow, what a way to start this game. I thought it was going to be a little more passive, but you got heroes like Visage, you've got heroes like Abaddon and Centaur. You're going to see a slugfest, especially when you consider the CIS Dota factor. So, a lot of activity already. I can't wait to see what the rest of this game holds. But let's, while we get the small opportunity to do so, let's check out the other lanes and see what they have in store for us. Right now, as far as CS Wars, Mantis is doing really well at 8 for 8 over Mirana. Not too surprising, because Mirana has only, right now, 58 average damage, and that's with a Basilius. Just one of those heroes that have really weak right-click potential, but with the arrow, with the Starstorm, can still hold their own. in 1v1 circumstances. We see in the mid lane that Templar Assassin will not be drained of her mana. The EMP is essentially wasted there. And now joinDOTA is kind of on the back foot. Like, in this position, he really wants to get those EMPs off to prevent the refractions as much as possible. But here comes that bottle for solo. And he is essentially matching for CS. 2 denies behind, but not the end of the world here. So we'll see how this Wex plays out. I think it is actually kind of that new meta 6.80 where it has a huge amount of potential in the right hands. But I gotta keep my eye on top lane. There's so much action going on here. Alright, starting off the Nightmare, we're going to see the War Stomp come out. No, Ice Path again! And Amazing even wakes up his ally. They're bouncing around the Nightmare back and forth, but this just makes it so that Amazing is easy pickings. The Visage slept for so long, and although he might get some good nuke out with his Soul Assumption, actually not even going to bother. But, yeah, it's just they juggled it so much, but essentially RoX.KIS are familiar with that. They're saying, okay, well, you can wake him up, but you're our new target. So they just move over to the Luna. They still hit a double stun. They knock her down with the double edge, and Visage heads for the hills. And I really think they're trying a little bit too hard, Next.kz that is, to juggle this sleep. I mean, Luna only has an attack range of 330. If she's going to wake somebody up, it means that she's going to be in the danger zone 100%. So, definitely something to look out for there. But, still kind of back and forth. As far as mana pools go, Centaur only has 1 stomp left. But luckily his secondary ability, the double edge, doesn't cost any mana whatsoever, and he already picked up an early magic stick. Now we do see Sadoi doing some good damage here, but he can't really tank up against these Treants for too long, so he drops the Starstorm, brings Mantis a little low, but in the end is not going to be able to bring him down. Mantis just TP's safe and sound back home. Actually, good Treant micro by Mantis, although we see from our bird's eye view that the arrow wasn't skilled until just recently. He was using his Treants to block the arrow to make sure that there was no kill potential there. So great micromanagement by Mantis here. In the mid lane, Solo, not diving necessarily, but making use of this Illusion Rune and Refraction charges to stay aggressive on this mid lane, trying to put out a lot of pressure on joinDOTA here, who doesn't even have his boots. As a matter of fact, EMP should connect. No, boots of speed are just that, speeding Solo away so that he won't have to worry about that. Along with that, he has 2 bottle charges, so he's feeling pretty good. Oh, Nightmare cast attempt, but did get ranged out at the very last second there. Anyways, like I said, Solo has a lot of charges left in his bottle, just 1 remaining now, but he still already has 2 refractions. So as long as he keeps dodging these EMPs as effectively, Invoker really has nothing to show for this lane. In fact, he's gone 3 points in quas just so that he can sustain effectively, because it does provide him a nice amount of passive regeneration as well as strength. So it makes his cold snap more effective too, but primarily just to survive. Now we see aggressive again. We're going to see the great ice path, but it's not going to stop. A huge nuke coming on Luna. She's already down for the count. Mantis will rotate in to clean up the Bane here, but the Moonlight Shadow comes across and, oh, almost saved Godblack. In the end, the Soul Assumption will bring him down. But BCC doesn't look done yet. He's looking for a solo pickoff on Visage. Gets the stomp. There's going to be the double edge follow through. 1 more right click is needed. Will he get it? Gonna die for it, but there's the salve. He needs to back off. He can't possibly go in. He actually gets sprouted up, and there's a mild throw. But can he trade it 1 for 1? No. He doesn't get close enough. He doesn't close the distance. And Visage is just able to skirt death, his life flashing before his eyes. But he will be able to walk away. Which isn't something you usually get to say about a Visage. He only has 285 base movement speed. He actually has, right now, like, minimal magic damage mitigation. The only reason he has any mitigation is because of Gravekeeper's Cloak, but once those stacks are gone, he actually is sitting at 0%, I believe, if I remember correctly. That was a relatively recent change, but it is very impactful for this hero, making him the squishiest hero in the game, making it very easy to bring him low. But anyways, that was a pretty good movement for Mantis, coming up the top lane. Of course, he did cede a little bit to Mirana on the bottom, but they still killed off Godblack, delaying his level 6. And they did, of course, pick up the Bane and the Centaur. So, essentially, just turning things around very much in their favor. They're pretty happy about this current state of affairs. Now we do see the arrow come in on joinDOTA, though. A great arrow from Sadoi, moving in from that off-lane position to really make his impact known. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of that in the near future. In the meantime, actually walking into an interesting position. If Mirana went for the leap, she probably could have caught up with the Visage to arrow him, but just didn't know what was lurking in the shadows. It is nighttime after all. Have to play it a little bit closer to the chest. In the meantime, Solo doing the exact opposite. He's got a DD rune, full retraction stacks. He's going to take this tower solo. Easy peasy. So that is going to be a nice little clip for him. But the fight ensues down at bottom. Godblack's ulti was forced. He gets the shield, gets the heal off on Sidoi, but it's not enough. He still dies to the burst damage between Luna and Mantis. A little bit of help from Jakiro, but he is still kind of fledgling at level 5. So in the end, they overstepped their bounds. Like I said, nighttime is not the best time to be diving deep, and they just got a little overextended there. So the end kill count is 7 for 8. But that does include 1 suicide, meaning only 6 kills have been netted by Next.kz. Looking over at net worth right now, of course, Solo is on top of the charts. Man, this guy's doing so well right now. 47 CS, 1 kill to his name, and most importantly, that last hit on the tower in mid. Just gaining huge gold momentum for his team. Now picking up his Yasha pretty soon, I believe. And from there, he will be able to dominate with huge right-click potential that they really don't have the tools to deal with right now. Like I said, multiple instance heroes were, multiple damage instant heroes were mostly banned out. The Venomancer and the Ancient Apparition, so on and so forth. But they did end up picking up the Jakiro. Jakiro drops the dual breath. This should be able to burn through most of your charges, and Solo will have to play it a little more cautiously, but he still has an Abaddon on his back, and actually, he's diving deep right here. Invoker has no TP scroll. The haste rune is here. If it wasn't for the Visage's positioning, Solo could technically just run up to him and right-click him all the way back to base, probably netting the kill in the process. But we do see Invoker, of course, has his Ghost Walk available as a Quas-Wex Invoker, and without any detection, there is no way to guarantee a kill.
Methinks you wanted that. Fires of the wood.
So in kind of state of the game right now, we do see that there is a 3,000 gold advantage for RoX.KIS. No surprise there, considering the tower and kill advantage. But also still not having the greatest advantage in experience. Next.kz is holding their own. They're going to have level 6 on every single one of the heroes in a short time period. The one we're looking at right now is Reeves, trailing behind, not even level 5. In the meantime, as far as item progression goes, like I said, there is the Yasha pickup in conjunction with FaZe to go for the TA here in just about 400 gold. But we also see this Midas on the FaZe boots Nature Prophet. So Furion's going to be able to get huge amounts of farm, as I said, and this means that he is going to be looking for some big items very early on. We'll see if it's Scythe material, we'll see if it's anything else, but we do see a dive coming through. Look at this double damage Solo with all the Aphotic Shield behind him. They do stampede forward. They're going to try to do as much damage as possible, but Sidoi has to leap out, leaving Solo to clean it up, no problem. 2 shots, Mantis, and goes in for the kill on Visage. Can he finish him off? Double kill already, looking for the third, and Solo has the materials to tank it. Will go for a triple. Can he get an ultra? In this point, he is EMP'd up, but still doing so much damage with Meld, set up by the arrow. It's an ultra kill for Solo, 10 minutes into the game. This is what this lineup is all about, diving deep, refraction charges, Aphotic Shield, and a very well-timed double damage rune, setting them up for the kills. And now Solo is about to steamroll out of control. A snowball in motion, pushing down on tier 1s. Wow, such a strong showing from Solo. I can't wait to see what he can do next. If he can pick up a Blink Dagger for mobility, or just some good right-click potential with the Crystallis or something along those lines. I mean, there's so many different ways you can build her. I don't think it's actually smart to go for drums now. Like, usually you see the FaZe drums Yasha build just so she can get in the right position. But at this point, you've got so much gold from that last exchange, you might as well go big or go home. So I expect some huge pickup within the next few minutes for Solo on the TA. And it just goes back to what I was talking about in the draft, that they picked it up at such a great time where they banned out the counterintuitive supports. They knew that the Invoker was going to be on the mid lane, and Solo was like, that's a lane I can win. So we'll see what Afaka... Oh, missed actually my first kill of the game. Sorry about that, guys, but it was a Nightmare arrow pickoff on the support down bottom. Anyways, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, the selection there. They knew that he could win the matchup. The Invoker, even especially Quas-Wex, really doesn't have that much lane dominance, and so we're going to have to expect Wadafaka to do a little bit more in the near future, because right now he just hasn't pulled his weight. He needs to really flaunt that teamfight potential with the big EMP tornadoes. Anyways, we do see the Roche going to drop down to Solo's Meld Strikes very abruptly, and they're going to be able to pick that up. But in the meantime, 633, BZZ is having some trouble here. Luckily, he has the Hood of Defiance, will be able to tank up most of his damage. but just a bit of a space creation mechanism here, baiting on the top lane, now getting healed up by the urn, and they can TP to defend this no problem at all. So if you thought Solo was YOLO before, not only does he have all the shields as before, but now a second life in the Aegis. We do see BZZ not getting hit by the tornado, but it looks like Godblock will be hit by the EMP, now running completely out of mana. So at this point, they have to play defensive. I mean, the Aegis is up and at them, and they just don't have the tools to take a legitimate fight. They have to be very careful. Maybe they could go for a smoke pickoff, but more likely they're just going to sit back and farm. They have just so much less potential to hold the line here. They need to just kind of go for the counter push. They go for Tornado EMP. Solo will be able to phase boots away. No, he does get clipped by it, despite the massive movement speed produced from the Yasha. So that's pretty nice for them, but like I said, he still has ways to get it right back with the bottle, with the magic wand. And now trying to dive into the tower. Wow, just such an aggressive stance from Solo, and it makes the enemy team very unwary. Right now, TA can dive beyond tier 2s without that much threat to her actual life. And that's very unnerving to think of if you're in the position of Next.kz. Now we do see another tornado come out. The EMP should connect on Godblack. No, just barely off the mark. It will just barely not be sufficient. I'm trying to think of something involving radiuses, but whatever. Geometry be damned. That is just not going to work for them. In the end, though, they do get a very nice deny on the tower, and they are pushing down bottom while Solo goes really ham right here. We do see the Fiend's Grip, but he's hit by a cold snap. Solo has to be very cautious about this position. Yes, he has Aegis, but doesn't want to lose it the minute that he got it, so is going to fall back from here. Took a lot of damage from that cold snap plus creeps. There was a TP to defend the bottom tower from Mantis, and that was obviously successful as it still stands, but no blood spilt on either account. Now TA gonna go for either a Desolator or BKB. I would prefer to see the Desolator, as like I've said, he has so much working for him right now, so much momentum, and the Photic Shield is there if he does need it to survive. It looks like Sidoi was looking for a pickoff on the Luna possibly, but not gonna get set up by his own Moonlight Shadow. The big pickup of the game, though, to this point, all of them have been good and generally ramping up the momentum of RoX.KIS, but now we see the mother load come in the hands of the Centaur Warrunner. BZZ is perfect, has just obtained his Blink Dagger, and it just completely opens up new avenues of attack for the Centaur. Because Blink no longer costs any mana, he can be as mobile and active with it as he so chooses, without really any cost to his spell casting, assuming he doesn't get clipped by an EMP. So that means he will be able to get great stomps, great stampedes, and most importantly, those big double edges off, hopefully splashing. You see Amazing, probably going to die here. There's really no way for him to live, considering Yule's Nightmare. And it doesn't look like the cavalry is going to come in to try to help him out. Jakiro will fall. Down in bottom lane, Solo. Wadafaka meets him once again, 1v1. We'll drop the EMP, but Solo going to be able to get out of it, and now is in a great position to just man up hard against him, even under the opponent's tower. Like, he's just going to be able to deliver a couple of quick auto attacks, say, get out of my lane, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, we do hear Mantis TPing in, but he's not exactly sure the position he wants to jump on. Right now, Wadafaka is running for his life. He has good movement speed with this Wex, but is it enough? Just barely getting the Ghost Walk off with the Magic Wand. But Stampede almost set up Solo for the kill. Now trapped inside the Sprout, relying on the Aegis of the Immortal to keep him up until his allies arrive. But he's actually turning around. He will kill off Stallcat on the Luna. And now, indeed, the cavalry is here. The four-legged foes approaching. We are going to see some big damage come out. Right now against Sidoi as the Macropyre Ice Path comes out, but Solo goes YOLO right here, right on top of Visage, and he's going to drop down for sure. Now Fiend's Grip on Amazing secures that kill as well. And RoX.KIS are just running all over Next.kz in this game 1. Oh, a big Blink Stomp, setting up another kill. And that's it, 19 for 8. RoX.KIS are dominating, and I would not be surprised to see a GG in the next minute or two. But we'll see. For right now, the Tier 2 will fall. Gonna approach the Tier 3 quite possibly. If they have enough urn charges. Right now, sitting on 3 for that Abaddon. But it looks like they just want to defend. Play it cool. They've kept all their Tier 1s up to this point, so why not keep that track record as effectively as possible. They did, as far as Aegis Immortal, they did lose that, but I think that was to Reclamation. I mean, that is the 6-second mark here. No, that looks like 5 actually. I'm counting is really bad apparently, but Yeah, it looks like it was only a 5-minute timer, and he did actually fall down in the midst of that engagement, but he got so much damage off during that, it doesn't even matter. Like, he had 4 people on him, caught inside Sprout, and he still kills their hard carry. He still kills off the Luna before she can Eclipse, and with that, how do you fight? Now, we do see Shadow Blade up on Mantis. It should be enough to keep him up, despite the Moonlight Shadow double damage gank, and yeah, Solo's just going to go and clear out this creep wave, no problem. Alright, here an arrow coming out, but Motherfucker's not going to fall for that one. In fact, he's going to land a nice little tornado, but not accomplishing too much with it. It's not the biggest threat here. Actually, Stampede coming out. They're going to go on Luna, and wow. Wow. That's caught out in no man's land. Had a TP, but didn't get a chance to use it. Solo was all over that, no problem. Now, we do see that, in fact, Mantis is getting hit hard. The arrow connected, and they will bring him down. Geometry Sight up on Goblak, aiding them in that kill. They will be forced back by Wadafaka, but they don't really feel like there's any potential recompense for their rash actions here. They can go as aggressive as they want to and just claim so much in the process. Now, we do see right here that the Fiend's Grip will come out on Invoker. It will be the kill on their solo mid, and that's something they can't afford. Right now, they're down on their last legs. They are backed into a corner and losing their highest level hero, actually. Wow, okay, he's a little bit behind the Midas Furion, but even so, down for 25 seconds, they lose the second to last outer tier tower, and they are looking bad. Right now, Visage is going to be picked off by Solo jumping in with that Blink Dagger, and there's just nothing to stop this man. He is quite literally godlike in this situation.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Now, we do see a little bit of split push happening, trying to rat it out, and they might get one tier 1 for their trouble, but they're losing so much more on the front lines. So, looking over, we see the Blink Initiation going ham onto Luna. Going to force her back, but they just got really Blink Stomp to bring down Amazing in just a second. The Tornado hits on one. The EMP will connect onto the Bane, forcing him out of the fight for the time being, but it's not enough to prevent Solo from going so hardcore right here. Actually, wow. Wow, that was actually a pretty huge kill. 1,200 gold distributed amongst Invoker and Nature's Prophet, all thanks to that Wrath of Nature, bringing him back up, just bringing him below that kill threshold. So, didn't have the Refraction or the Meld for that very brief time period, and will pay with his life. But even so, that's his first death of an otherwise impeccable game. We do see right now his KDA of 9-1-1. So, yes, he is taking down a peg, and Furion will move very quickly towards this Necro 1, but I don't really feel that that changes the state of the game here. I mean, they're going to be able to control Roshan. They're Dire with a huge team fight advantage right now, and in just 1 minute, they can look to pick it up for themselves. So, after they take Roshan, they will try once again to break the base, and I think at that point, Next.kz's minutes are numbered. But right now, just trying to control with the best warding they can offer. Unfortunately, they're up against a Geometry Sight, which makes it extremely efficient for Goblak to just march right up to those observers and take them down. So, getting map control, you can kind of see the Radiant are trying. They got an observer here, they've got a Radiant observer and a sentry down here, but it's just not enough. They're still backed into a corner, then they're getting picked off. We do see, once again, YOLO trying to initiate on Nature's Prophet. Luckily, the Shadow Blade will keep him alive, but now we see the initiation hardcore onto Luna. Commit the Fiend's Grip just to secure it, but well worth it. I mean, that's a Luna kill. That's the one thing that they need for team fights, is that full Eclipse to hit on heroes, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be an option as she's nuked down so abruptly in these fights. Even Wadafaka has to be extremely careful. He will throw out a pretty cool tornado, but cheeky play as it is, one Nightmare and this guy's down. But we'll look over at the tower right now. A Blink Stomp coming out. Nature's Prophet will fall. And with him, this tier 2 tower. Now it's going to be a rally to defend. They have the Macro Pyre up, but really that's the only thing they have going for them. Cold Snap comes out on Yol. Immediately shielded. Actually dispels it. Didn't today I learned. But meanwhile, we do see Macro Pyre drop down. Not going to do much to save the Twin-Headed Dragon. And that is going to be the tier 2, soon to be tier 3 if this is any display of what RoX.KIS are capable of. That Aphotic Shield plus Double Edge just tears through the supports. They haven't been able to afford the mechanism. They obviously can't afford a Pipe of Insight. We do see some damage coming into BZZ, but this is Centaur we're talking about here, and he can certainly handle a few pinpricks from the familiars. It's worth mentioning that Solo did pick up a solo. Always finding these kills. That blink initiation, it's like Next.kz don't even see it coming, and there it is, the GG finally. They're down multiple Roshans, many kills, and Solo goes in for his last hurrah, bringing down the Jakiro in quite a display, and there it is, a 22-minute and 45-second victory of RoX.KIS over Next.kz. 30-9 score, 8 kills on the table for Next.kz, considering 1 suicide, but a hell of a showing from RoX.KIS using blink initiation, big damage, big disables, and really just showing what that draft is worth. Centaur and Abaddon, big plays coming out, and of course from Solo as well. He didn't look perfect in the first like 4 or 5 minutes, but he turned it around so very well at the later stages of the game. So amazing movement, great aggression, and obviously that what sealed the deal was that big ultra kill down on bottom lane. There we are. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the first game of this 2-game series in the joinDOTA League European Division. This is once again RoX.KIS versus Next.kz, and I am Blaze of Dota Talk. If you guys want to enjoy the commentary, if you want to give me some feedback, if you didn't like it, or you want to follow me and see what I'm broadcasting next, check me out on twitter.com/blazecasting. Also, I'm probably going to upload these VODs to youtube.com/blazecasting over the next day or so. So, very fun game to start us off, but we have one more coming up. We'll see if Next.kz can bring it to a draw with a 1-1 in this 2-game series, or if indeed we'll go all up RoX.KIS as we've seen.